Signature moves are a great way to help some Pokemon become more notable, whether it's good or not. But here's the thing. What if every single Pokemon gets a signature move? Wouldn't that just make them not special anymore? Well, heck yeah. Well, this is the second part of my 9-part series where I attempt to give every single Pokemon without a signature move one of their own. Today we journey to Johto, where, despite having less Pokemon than Kanto, I actually have more Pokemon without signature moves. Darn Kanto pandering. However, let's cover the big rule first. If any Pokemon within an evolutionary line has, or will ever, be the only Pokemon to learn a move, including regional forms, they're out. However, with the sheer amount here, I can't promise I'll be 100% sure on all of them, so let's start off with some of the less in-depth ones. Noctowl's move, Time Up, is a normal type future sight referencing Clockdowl's connection to clocks. Granbull is really just a purple bulldog, so its signature move, Pixie Charge, is equally bland, just doing some recoil damage. Donphan's Sand Trunk is a 90 base power move with no secondary effect. I would, if I could, make a rollout Donphan's move, but I'm trying to come up with new ones. Similarly to Donphan, I would like to have Petal Dance be Blossom's signature move. It almost was, but Sunflora also learns it in Gen 2. So Floral Dance, yeah, it's different, would use the user's special attack, special defense, and speed while lowering their attack and defense. Umbreon's Moonslash is also pretty bare bones, just a dark type move with a high chance to crit. Scizor has Iron Grip, it deals 80 base damage, and the target can no longer escape. Kingdra gets Arcane Bubble, a water type move that also deals super effective damage to dragon types, as a reference to being the first non-pseudo dragon type. Lanturns was Charged Water, which is a water type move with a chance to paralyze. And finally, for this group of somewhat boring moves, is Tyranitar's move Quake Step, a high damaging rock type move with no secondary effect. Now that those are all out of the way, let's start with Meganium. Meganium has, and likely always will be, associated with aromatherapy. I mean, every single one of its dex entries mentions how good it smells. And I would name this move aromatherapy, but since that's already an actual move, I have to go with something else. Pungent Aroma is a grass-type status move that lowers both of the opponent's attacking stats and has a chance to put them to sleep. It's like they get so relaxed from the aroma they don't even want to fight anymore, so much so that they fall asleep right after they get on the battlefield. For Feraligatr, I almost gave it a move called Lockjaw, because it's an alligator, until I realized Jaw Lock is already a move with the exact same effect I would give it. So instead, I settled for something else that has to do with its big jaws. Hydro Trap is a 70 base power water-type physical move that doubles in power if used after it was attacked. It's like Feraligatr is waiting for the opponent to get in close to strike, but then, as it does, it snaps its jaws shut. Hisuian Typhlosion already has a signature move, Infernal Parade, so we'll skip them and go straight to Furret. Now, I don't know much about Furret, but while I was writing out the list for new moves, I remembered the Furret Walk meme from a few years ago. And after all, ferrets are pretty good at running and jumping, so Rapid Feet. It's only 20 base power, but it does raise Furret's speed by a whopping 3 stages. Ladian is based on Common Rider, and has a whole bunch of punching moves because of that. So here, Buzzing Punch, it's a 60 base power bug type move with priority. Not the most special thing out there, but at the same time, Ladian isn't exactly either. Now, Ladian might be kinda lame, but you know it isn't? Quagsire! He's just a kinda derpy guy, and that's just my type of Pokemon. Being based on axolotls and their incredible regenerative abilities, Wooper and Quagsire can learn Recover. So what if I expanded on this concept with Regenerative Strike? It's a 110 base power water-type physical move, and the user loses a quarter of their max HP, but then regains it next turn. This way, you might be able to imagine it as Quagsire throwing their arm at the enemy and then it growing back later. Is this a bit gruesome? Probably, but at the same time, Clodsire, Quagsire's Paldean cousin, shoots their ribs out of their skin when they attack, so yeah. Ooh, Ampharos. Ampharos is a fun little guy. They're based on lighthouses with the electric type, with the glowing orbs on their body and tall stature, and being a literal lighthouse, so it might have something to do with that. Blinding Flash is a 80 base power electric type move with a chance to flinch, because if you shine a bright light in someone else's eyes, they'd probably recoil back and cover their eyes. Speaking of which... Now, Steelix is one of, if not my all-time favorite Gen 2 Pokemon, at least design-wise, and lots of its dex entries reference how it digs through the ground, just like every single other ground type. So I decided to go with this move, Terrain Run. It works as a combination of both Terrain Pulse and Steel Roller, where it starts off ground type but changes type based on the terrain and then destroys said terrain, as if it tears apart the ground and the terrain affected ground smacks into the opponent. Now, I've been wanting to make a U-turn-like move for a while, and I finally found the right Pokemon for it. Jumpluff's whole shtick is that it rides on the wind. I mean, it is a dandelion after all. So it's pretty simple. Just give it a flying type U-turn, name it something like Windride, and we're all done here. Now, Politoed is kind of strange. Not Politoed itself. I think he's a cool guy, but I think that I already made a signature move for Poliwrath, but I don't think Aquatic Combo, the move I assigned to Poliwrath in the last video, would really fit Politoed's vibe. So, how about this? Politoed is a frog, duh. But how about we reference the croaking of frogs and how they help people go to sleep? So, Rebubble, a 60 base power water type move, has a chance to put the opponent to sleep. Fortress is kinda weird, but let's make this quick. Fortress is, it's a fortress, duh, but it's also a nut? Maybe? It's also a bug, so it's a bagworm. Don't get me wrong, but it's just confusing. However, it is prone to explosions, so just like Golem from my last video, it will have a move that damages itself. Maybe something like Fortify. It's functionally just a defensive belly drum, having your HP to max out your defense stat. Sunflower is kinda stupid, so I'm gonna make this quick too. It's a sunflower, so let's really hone in on that sun aspect of it. And that's really all I got. Sundance is a 60 base power grass type move that deals double damage in the sun. Sunflower could really use a strong thing like this. Or a Mega Evolution. Now, Sudowoodo is an iconic Gen 2 Pokemon. Many kids remember using a fire-type move on what looks like a tree, only for it to be not very effective and have them question everything they know about the type chart. That's because Sudowoodo is a rock type, because it's based on petrified wood. Heck, its name even translates to fake wood. So why not reflect that in this cool concept into a cool signature move? Petrify. It's a status move that changes the target into a rock type, not unlike how Soak changes them into a water type or how Forest Curse turns them into a grass type. Azumarill is pretty easy. While Wigglytuff is based on a balloon, Azumarill is based on something similar, inflatable pool toys, similar to a beach ball. So I'm giving it a move similar to Wigglytuff's Inflate from my last video. Afloat is a water type move in which the user takes half damage from the next time they are attacked, and then when they are attacked, it lowers the opponent's special attack. Ooh, Zachu's an interesting one. It's based on oracles, specifically Native American oracles, and thus I think it should have a move to reflect that. So Zachu's new move, Prophesite, get it? Another pun. It tells you the moveset of your opponent's Pokemon. Yeah, it's entirely useless and competitive since you can just see it anyways, but maybe it could have some uses outside of battle, like if you stand right next to an NPC, it'll tell you the move set of their first Pokemon before you even battle them, giving you some time to prepare. Now let's see what's next. Shuckle! Okay, Shuckle is a funny case because being a gimmick Pokemon, you kind of have to make a move that fits into the gimmick. Shuckle's gimmick is that it has the highest defense and special defense of any Pokemon, excluding Eternamax Eternatus, but you can't use him and that doesn't count. But he does have the lowest speed and close to the lowest attack and special attack. But a lot of its dex entries mention it making juice on its shell, which are said to be delicious. I wouldn't trust it, especially from the mold Pokemon. Anyways, Shuckle's new move, Juicing, makes the user consume the berry they're holding immediately, and if it's an HP restoring berry, the effect is doubled, making it even tankier than before. It's like it juices it to make it taste a little bit better before they eat it. Okay, this move is probably better off for Galarian Corsola instead of the Johto one, but it could also work for the Johto one as well. Corsola is a piece of coral, and coral, especially dead coral, is known for, if one thing, breaking off and floating away. So this is reflected in Corsola's new move, Break Off, in which it lays spikes on the opponent's side of the field and then switches Corsola out, almost as if it's breaking off and floating away. Okay, Mantine has a pretty unique new move. This new move is called High Tide. What it does, it's a sort of new terrain effect, kind of. It kind of like Trick Room or something? I don't know. It raises the power of water type moves and moon-based moves by 20%, since all the tides are, in fact, affected by the moon. This new effect also makes Dive come out immediately instead of just 2 turns. Not sure why I decided to give it to Mantine of all Pokemon, but I did. And you can't stop me. Houndoom is another Pokemon with some pretty intense and dark Pokedex entries saying that the pain of its fire will never go away. To reference this, its new move, Sinister Flare, does 80 damage and always burns the Pokemon, no matter what, whether they can be usually burned or not. On top of that, the burn will not go away, whether you use a move or an item. The only way it will go away is if you use a Pokemon Center or if the Pokemon faints. Now, Magcargo, the mascot of the Pokemon vs. Lions debate. Magcargo is based on this type of snail that has shells made of iron. An actual earth snail, like an actual animal, with a shell made of metal. That's so cool. And it had to look like this. Anywho, the move. It's really just a fire-type multi-hit move. Nothing terribly special. Oh, and all of them also have their own chances to burn. And now we enter legendary territory, finally. Starting us off, Entei. Entei is said to make volcanoes erupt with a single bark, and is called the volcano Pokemon, so we might as well use that to our advantage. Maybe it uses the smoky tail to use their new signature move, Volcanic Smoke. It's a fire-type move with a chance to burn, and it also guarantees to lower their accuracy. How neat. Suicune is known to purify polluted water, so I think it would be pretty cool to have that represented in their move, Purifying Steps. It's a water-type move that also deals super effective damage to poison types. You gotta get rid of that gunk somehow. And finally, for the legendary beasts, it's Raikou. And at this point, I'm running out of ideas. It's Thunderous Roar. It's an electric type move, and it lowers their speed. I'm so tired, man. And finally, the last move for this video. Celebi is a time-traveling onion fairy and also a menace in TCG Pocket. So let's focus on that. The time-traveling part, not the TCG Pocket part. So how about this? Time Pocket is a psychic-type move, and it's a clone of Fly or Bounce or Dive or whatever you want to call it. It time-travels to a point in the future when the opponent has let their guard down, and then strikes. Basically, they go away for one turn, and then they attack on the next turn. And that's it for today. Wait, I forgot about Wobbuffet. Okay, no, I didn't actually, but it's really just for dramatic effect, so let's pretend it is alright. See, if a gimmick Pokemon like Wobbuffet comes up, then I don't think I want to give it a signature move, because that would take away what makes Wobbuffet special. But if I did, it might have been like some busted, overpowered move that can, like, do both Reflect and also the other screen that I don't remember at the same time, but you can only use it once, and yeah, I don't know. But with that being said, see him, and stay safe.